Welcome to, or welcome back to, the Agatha May Detective Agency. I'm Agatha May, and before I get started on today's video, I want to thank the absolute flood of new subscribers and all of the lovely comments you're leaving. A huge thank you to Patrick at the Mystery Project for sending people my way. It really means so much to me that you guys are engaging on the videos and leaving comments and saying such nice things. Like, seriously, I'm the clout. Talk amongst yourselves. Now, I am planning on doing regular videos to answer the questions and respond to some of the comments. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. I read every comment that is left. And you guys really are you're awesome. Well, all except for one of you, and you know who you are. So, today's episode is The Great Evangelist That Never Was, the Gloryland Years. Reginald Wayne Miller was born on September 2nd, 1948, to Reg Kinley and Inez Cusack Miller. I think he prefers to go by Wayne, so I'm going to call him Reggie. Reggie grew up on a farm in Hemingway, South Carolina. Hemingway is a small town in Williamsburg County. In 2022, the population was 421. During Reggie's school days, though, the population was a booming 800 to 950 people. From a young age, Reggie played the piano and played in recitals. He became quite the accomplished pianist and still plays the piano today. Now, believe it or not, Reggie graduated from Hemingway High School at the age of 16. And then he attended Baptist College in Charleston and graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Music in 1969. The Florence Morning News published an article about Reggie on September 14th of 1969. He had played the piano for the local music lovers club. From the article, quote, "The guest was graduated from Hemingway High School and entered Baptist College at the age of 16. The article also states that in 1969 he traveled and studied in Europe. After Reggie came home from Europe, he taught private piano lessons and was a music teacher in the Hemingway area school system. In 1970, he decided he needed to become a preacher man. So he began preaching at Tabernacle United Methodist Church in Pamplico, South Carolina. Now, the 70s were a time when there was a huge rise in celebrity evangelism. And it was the time of Jim Bakker and Jerry Falwell, Oral Roberts, Pat Robertson, Jimmy Swaggart, and Billy Graham. However, the majority of them lost their empires due to infidelity. I think Reggie desperately wanted to be a well-known evangelist. He had big plans. Unfortunately, the only part of being a celebrity evangelist that he got right was the infidelity bit. On September 27th of 1972, Wayne posted an advertisement in the Florence Morning News announcing that he would apply to the Secretary of State for the Eleemosynary Corporation under the name of Florence Tabernacle. Now, eleemosynary is just a fancy word for dependent on charity. According to the announcement, the purpose of Florence Tabernacle was for, quote, "the proclamation of the full gospel of Jesus Christ, salvation, deliverance, and divine healing," end quote. Reg was also still teaching private piano lessons. In 1974, Reggie became engaged and married his first wife, Susan Fleming. 1977 was a very big year for Reggie. He had expanded Florence Tabernacle to include a television program named Good Morning Jesus, and it's starring himself, of course. The church also operated a Bible Institute and a bookstore. Reggie held a telethon that year to raise money for Good Morning Jesus and pulled in $200,000, which was a record for the television station. Now that is over $1 million in today's money. By the fall of 1977, he had announced that Gloryland Bible College was in the works. Now, can there be a more Southern evangelical sounding name than Gloryland? However, it also sounds like it could be an amusement park where all the rides send you to the great beyond. In 1978, Reggie took out a full-page ad in the Florence Morning News celebrating the 6th anniversary of Florence Tabernacle and sharing his plans for the future of Gloryland. These plans included a K-12 school, recreational facilities, camping facilities, mobile home park, orphanage, home for the aged, horses, fishing, petting zoo, life-size replica of Old Testament tabernacle, and a nature park for meditation. July 1st of 1978, there was a groundbreaking for Gloryland. Now, Gloryland was supposed to be on 484 acres that Florence Tabernacle was going to purchase, but in reality, there ended up only being about 22 acres. Reginald Wayne Miller did not get everything he wanted. In May of 1979, the Millers welcomed a bouncing bundle of narcissism into the world and named him John Paul. Now, little did Reg know that 42 years later, his son would preach a sermon titled, "Who'd You, Daddy?" and would tell his congregation that, quote, "My dad never got Father of the Year award, not even once. He did provide for us, and if we were ever in trouble, he was the first one to take care of us and bail us out. But other than that, we didn't really see him much at all growing up." As much as Reginald built up his church/compound in the 1970s, the 1980s were the beginning of his downfall. Well, his first downfall. By 1980, Reggie had changed the name of his church to Tabernacle Baptist Church and was happily building his Gloryland compound. He had placed the former church building up for sale. Now, on April 25th of that year, the former church building went up in flames. 3 firemen suffered injuries trying to put out the blaze. SLED, which is the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, investigated it as a suspicious fire, but no charges were ever filed. Reggie said the sale of the church was partially completed, and he wasn't even sure who really owned it at that point. He also stated there was no insurance on it and he didn't know anything about the fire. Quote, "I have no idea how the fire started. Our fellowship hall burned down 4 years ago, and police told me it was the work of arsonists." End quote. Sure, Reg, we believe you. On August 20th, 1982, Gloryland officially began classes, and the church held a dedication on January 2nd of 1983 for the new church building on the Gloryland campus. Through the 1980s, Reggie continued to grow Gloryland, adding buildings, a kindergarten, a daycare, and who knows what else. In February of 1985, Reggie published an ad in the Florence Morning News about a seminar on how to be a profitable businessman, which is exactly what a pastor is not supposed to be. So in this ad, at the bottom, in tiny letters, Reg wrote, "As a child, Pastor Miller was totally paralyzed from the waist down by polio. Under the influence of the Oral Roberts ministry, his mother believed for his healing. He was totally healed." End quote. I don't believe you, Reginald. For those of you who don't know, Oral Roberts not only had an unfortunate name, but also had an unfortunate personality. He was the pioneer of televangelism and started the idea of the prosperity gospel. Now, he claimed to be a faith healer and claimed he could raise people from the dead. Doesn't that sound familiar, John Paul? I'm looking at you. In reality, the only thing Oral Roberts raised was millions of dollars, and he liked to spend it on himself. One of his obituaries claimed, "He continued to wear his Italian silk suits, diamond rings, and gold bracelets, airbrushed out by his staff on publicity pictures." Well, it looks like someone forgot to do that in this pic, though. The 1980s was also the time that Reggie started speaking out about obscenity and started an organization named Citizens Against Pornithology. That's just giving it a name that YouTube will be happy with. And I guess if we want, we can look at it as the study of dirty birds. Yelling against adult entertainment was kind of the thing for evangelicals back in the day. In the 70s, everyone was catching demons and needed to be exorcised. And in the 80s, I guess everyone was looking at dirty magazines. So also, a lot of them who were yelling the loudest against such things were the ones doing those exact things behind everyone's back. In a way to poke fun at the citizens against pornithology, a group of anonymous citizens gave spoof awards to the group's members. Now, they would attend the council meetings and listen to Wayne and crew explain how dangerous pornithology is. And in 1986, the group gave Reggie the, quote, Larry Flint Hustler Magazine Award for the lovingly graphic description he gave council of a dirty video cassette he watched, end quote. Now, I was raised in an independent fundamental church, and I remember how the elders would watch or read certain things and then act like they only did it so they could tell people how sinful it was. You ain't fooling me, girly girl. So have you been wondering how Reggie ended up with a doctorate degree? Now, I just figured he'd given himself a Gloryland version, but it's actually worse. In January of 1987, he received an honorary doctorate from Indiana Christian University, which was an unaccredited college, just like Reggie's. Now, instead of being a normal person and understanding that you don't go by doctor when you receive an honorary degree because it's just a gesture and not an actual degree, Reggie went on to be Dr. Wayne Miller. Now, by March of 87, so 3 months later, he's making the statement that he'd had a doctorate from Indiana Christian University and just leaving off the honorary part. Jerry Savelle was a guest speaker at Gloryland on July 22nd of 1988. Now, Jerry has been mentioned in true crime circles lately because of the rumor that he turned his back on Reggie after finding out about his alleged indiscretions in Pakistan. Jerry Savelle died less than 2 weeks before Mica. His cause of death hasn't been released. Now, I didn't realize he went back this far with Reggie. And in knowing that, how did he not know who Mac Daddy Miller really was before recently? In 1988, television station WPDE ran a 5-part expose on Reggie. In the expose, students from the college spoke about Reggie making inappropriate advances to them in previous years. Later, in his and Susan's divorce, she alleges in an affidavit that there were women coming to her during that time, letting her know that Reggie was coming on to their husbands. I guess we know why he named it Gloryland now. And of course, Mac Daddy denied all of the allegations and put it down to, quote, disgruntled associates. Yeah, well, maybe they were disgruntled because they didn't want you to come on to him, Reggie. He also accused the television station of only running the expose because it was the first day of a new ratings period. Well, that's just smart business, Reg, and you should know that from the seminar you taught. Now, Reggie sued the television station, but in May of 1989, he withdrew the lawsuit. According to Reg's attorney, it was only dropped because Mac Daddy didn't want to put his family through additional financial and emotional strain. Sure, Reg. By the end of the 1980s, Reggie had Gloryland Bible colleges in Bermuda and Jamaica. I think this is how he started his quote-unquote mission work. In 1990, Donna Douglas, who played Ellie Mae Clampett on the Beverly Hillbillies, made a guest appearance at Gloryland, but not even Ellie Mae could repair the damage that was done by Reginald. On March 28th of 1993, the last advertisement for services at Gloryland ran in the newspaper. Reginald Wayne Miller left Florence in disgrace and headed to Myrtle Beach for a new incarnation. As far as I know, Reginald Miller is not under any current investigation, nor is he a subject of interest in any ongoing investigation. He is innocent until proven guilty. But even if someone does prove him guilty, he'll probably just deny it. I'll have part 2 of The Great Evangelist That Never Was soon. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment, which will help my channel grow. Until next time, stay safe and be happy.